A neural network it tries to emulate the structure of our nervous system. So we have neurons in our bodies, and the neurons kind of decide what kind of signals to let through the network and what reaches the brain, and then the brain reacts. So the neural network is designed to emulate that system. So each layer in a network is emulating a bunch of neurons, and it decides what kind of information can pass through the network. And by doing so, it's actually performing some kind of a function.
Sure.
And so deep learning is a kind of neural network. It's a specific type of neural network.
Okay, so a lot of deep learning is about vision, seeing things, identifying things. But how exactly does that work?
Yeah, so deep learning really took off with the computer vision and image processing area. So let's take an example. So let's say that when we look at that picture on the left, we know it's a flower. So how does a network decide it's a flower?
Yeah.
So the way it does it is by a series of steps. So the network itself is deep in that it's got a lot of layers. And the initial layers are responsible to just kind of find primitive features in the image. So things like edges and corners. And it's just trying to figure out where these things are.
Okay.
As we go down the network, the middle layers are putting these primitive features together to form shapes. So we have rectangles, squares, and other kind of polygonal shapes. And then finally, towards the end of the network, these shapes, they come together to identify objects. So at this point, we have identified features which represent certain objects. So the deep learning network is really a feature extractor in that sense. So it's extracting features from our images. And then finally, the last few layers are what we call classification layers. And they are trying to classify the features that we have just detected so that we can come up and say that this is a flower.
Sure. Okay. So somebody told me that there has been more progress in AI in the last couple years than in all of history before that. So
Yeah.
what's new in the deep learning arena?